Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results in your neighborhood now at 5 a.m.
Hurricane Milton, now a Category 4, still headed right toward Florida. The latest models and what we can expect here at home.
And millions along the Gulf Coast packing up and heading out as mandatory evacuations are in place. The historic damage the area could see just days after dealing with Helene.
Good morning. It is 5 a.m. I'm Bridget Ellison.
And I'm Lewis Bolden. Crystal is off today. Thank you for staying with us on this extended edition of News 6 Mornings. We want to get straight over to Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos and the very latest on Milton. And Candace, I believe this is the best news I've heard. This storm did weaken slightly overnight.
Yeah, not enough to just, drop the concern, but certainly a weakening process is good. I think it's going to be kind of short-lived, unfortunately, Lewis. But then after today, once it really starts to pull away from the Yucatan, I think we're going to start seeing it interact a little bit more with some wind shear, a little bit of dry air, and that will help it go from, let's say, Cat 5 maybe to a Cat 3, which at the end of the day, we'll take whatever weakening we can get, right? As of the 5 a.m. advisory, sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. This storm is going to be one for the record books. It dropped pressure below 900 millibars yesterday at the 8 o'clock advisory. Since then, the pressure has gone back up. It looks like it's going through an eye wall replacement right now. These large, powerful storms tend to do that, but you can see that weakening process here as, again, interacts with a little bit of dry air. But regardless, the concern and the threat for us here in Central Florida, that has not changed. Where it makes landfall right now, it's really starting to favor just south of Tampa, and many of the models picking it up and bringing it right through the I-4 corridor. That is going to be the biggest concern, as that center core that has the potential for Category 2 sustained winds embedded within it will be crossing over the state through the heart of Central Florida as we head into late Wednesday night and into early Thursday morning. There's always a lot of comparison. That's a very normal thing for us to do, right? When we look back at the sustained winds, the strongest wind gusts, at least I should say, at the Orlando International Airport, the last time we saw winds up to about 100 plus was back with Charlie. So I really do think that this system can rival the intensity and the magnitude of what Hurricane Charlie was in 2004. So again, that is putting things into perspective. The overall swath of the wind field, we'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit, but let's break down things more county by county with meteorologist Michelle Morgan. She is standing by now.
Thanks so much, Candace. So we're going to start off with our coastal communities here across Central Florida, Brevard County. Here's what to expect really for everyone. We're looking at the worst of the weather Wednesday evening through Thursday evening. So in terms of winds, 45 to 60 miles per hour with hurricane force gusts up to 85 miles per hour, and then surge along the coast between 3 to 6 feet. And again, 6 feet will be the worst case scenario. And then we're looking at the tornado threat for everyone in terms of rainfall potential between 3 to 6 feet. As we head to Flagler County here, we're looking at winds between 40 to 50 miles per hour, gusts up to 85 miles per hour, and also storm surge can be an issue for you. We're looking at between 3 to 5 feet, rainfall potential between 5 to 10 feet. As we head over to Volusia County here, winds between 60 to 80 plus miles per hour, gust up to 100 miles per hour with storm surge between 3 to 5 feet, and the rainfall between 6 to 10 inches. As we head over to our inland counties, Lake County, we're looking at winds between, again, sustained 60 to 80 miles per hour, gust 90 to 100 plus miles per hour, and then the rainfall between 4 to 8 inches for you there. And then as we head over to Marion County here, gust between 40 or 60 to 75 miles per hour, winds sustained 40 to 55 miles per hour, and then the rainfall potential for you 4 to 8 inches. As we head over to Orange County, we're looking at winds sustained between 60 to 80 miles per hour and potential gust up to 100 miles per hour, rainfall potential between 3 to 6 inches. We'll go over more detail, more counties to cover coming up in a bit.
All right, Michelle, thank you. This morning, the Hurricane Center is warning that Milton could be one of the most destructive hurricanes on record for West Central Florida.
Millions of people along Florida's Gulf Coast ordered to get out before it's too late, with Tampa's mayor delivering a dire warning.
Here in the city of Tampa, 64 years, I've never seen the damage that we saw with Helene. And Milton is on a whole other plateau.
Traffic picked up yesterday as many started to heed those warnings to evacuate. And you can see in this map from the state, mandatory evacuation orders are now in place in parts of 9 different counties, most of them on the Gulf Coast. And we say most because Volusia County on the east coast of Florida has also issued mandatory evacuation orders starting tomorrow.
That includes people living east of the Intracoastal Waterway and those in manufactured homes. News 6's Ezzy Castro joins us live from Volusia County this morning. And Ezzy, as the evacuation order begins, shelters will also be opening up this morning, correct?
That's right, Lewis. So yes, there are multiple shelters that will be opening starting tomorrow morning, and that's because emergency officials have enacted an evacuation order for residents who are living on the east areas of the Intracoastal Waterway and people living also in manufactured homes and mobile homes and low-lying areas, also campsites and RV recreational parks. Now, officials say people will be able to evacuate to those shelters starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
This is a substantial threat, not only to Volusia County, but to many areas across the state of Florida. Don't be fooled or get complacent with the reports that this storm will lose its intensity by the time it reaches us. We're still going to get hit very, very hard.
Volusia County also issued a curfew for all residents. That will go into effect tomorrow night from 8 p.m. and lasting until 8 a.m. Thursday. Now back out here live. As for those shelters, there are several that are pet friendly and also that are friendly for people with special needs that will be opening again tomorrow morning. That is at 9 a.m. Of course, we have all that information and what you need to know on clickorlando.com. Live in Daytona Beach, Ezzy Castro, Results News 6.
Ezzy, thank you. Flagler County doesn't have any mandatory evacuations right now, but emergency officials are warning that could change tomorrow. One of the big problems, there's already standing water in many areas from weeks of rain. County leaders worry that could lead to flooding and even topple trees.
The fact that because of the ground moisture that some trees that may not have toppled over in a similar storm may likely topple over.
Emergency managers are telling people to prepare for hurricane force winds and get those preps done as soon as possible. In Lake County, shelters will begin opening later today for those who need a safe place to stay during the storm.
15 locations will open at noon, including special needs and pet-friendly shelters. News 6's Emily McLeod continues team coverage now from Lake County's Emergency Operations Center. Emily.
Yeah, those shelters, they'll be all over the county and they'll begin opening up at noon today. Now, last night in a Facebook briefing, county officials, they were really speaking to everyone when it comes to safety for Hurricane Milton, but they also specifically mentioned the community of Astor and the flood warnings that were there. Now, we were in Astor yesterday and they're already seeing some flooding there, likely from Helene or the rain we've been seeing in the last couple of days. A lot of people who live all along the St. Johns River told us the water is already at their dock or seawall, and they are fully expecting it to flood. We spoke to a woman who says she plans on moving her cars to an area that doesn't flood so she can eventually go get them.
I have a little boat I go back and forth with, which I do. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, and then I'll get this car out here, so I put it outside the flood stage, and that we could use it later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much just getting ready. Yeah.
Do you anticipate that you'll have to get your boat out for this storm?
Yes, I do.
County officials are not only warning people in Astor about flooding during the storm, but after too. They say they expect the water levels to rise in the river in the days after the hurricane. Now, out of the 15 shelters, 9 of them will be pet friendly and 5 of them will be special needs. And what the county means when they say special needs is that if you're dependent on electricity, let's say for a CPAP machine, or if you need medication that needs to be refrigerated, or if you need assistance with daily activities, you would qualify for that special needs shelter. We are also hearing there's going to be an update from Lake County officials at 11 o'clock this morning. We'll be here when that happens. For now, reporting live in Tavares, I'm Emily McLeod, getting results News 6.
All right, Emily, thank you. And now let's get back over to Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos.
Yeah, when we talk about the re-strengthening that we're going to be watching for the next 12 to about 24 hours, this is something that a lot of our models have been forecasting. A little bit of weakening as it brushes just north of the Yucatan Peninsula. It will strengthen, possibly back into a Category 5 hurricane before it starts its approach towards the west coast of Florida. There is going to be some wind shear it'll be interacting with, along with a little dry air. So no matter how the system's going to fluctuate between now and Wednesday afternoon, the threat remains the same here in Central Florida. But the latest update, still at 5 a.m., has it with sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. So let's look at some of the wind gust forecasts. Our in-house model did a fantastic job really pinpointing Helene's wind gust just a few weeks ago. But you can see this is Thursday at 8 a.m. Already we're talking wind gusts in excess of 35 to 40 miles per hour throughout the most of your Wednesday, by the way. But the worst of the weather, the kind of that critical core, is going to be coming through about 2 a.m. on Thursday. Wind gust right now between about 30 and 45 miles per hour. Here comes the center of Milton. This is by about 5 a.m. on Thursday. Winds so there at 80 miles per hour in Tampa. And you're going to start seeing these winds really start to crank up between about 38 to 50, even 60 miles per hour by about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. We are going to continue to see those winds really increase by the time Thursday afternoon as that main center starts to emerge back out into the open waters. On top of the wind, we're also going to be dealing with rainfall totals. This is really going to be kind of a top-heavy storm when it comes to the moisture content of the system. So that means if the storm is going to be crossing along I-4, areas to the north of that core will be racking up some significant rainfall. So once again, today is going to be the last day to get those preparations done. If you're concerned about flooding, you're concerned about wind, you need to make those preparations and complete them by sundown. Back to you guys.
All right, Candace, thank you. And the time now is 5:11 a.m. With back-to-back storms impacting Florida, FEMA is now speaking out about its resources.
And coming up, what the agency is saying when it comes to funding and Hurricane Milton. Plus, concern for thousands of Gulf Coast residents as Milton makes a beeline for Florida after Helene left behind piles of debris. The rush to get the mess cleaned up before another storm blows ashore.
This portion of the news is sponsored by AutoNation. Don't miss out on exclusive News 6 content. Become a News 6 insider. Visit clickorlando.com/insider to sign up. Get your Medicare open enrollment questions answered during a special phone bank on October 15th, right here on News 6.
Welcome back. Hurricane Milton is now a Category 4 storm as it barrels its way across the Gulf of Mexico. It's lost a little strength, but not enough to change the major impacts we're going to see. We'll have another update from our Pinpoint Weather team in just minutes. Evacuation orders are underway along Florida's Gulf Coast as Milton creeps closer to the state.
This morning, crews are working around the clock to prep for the storm's wrath, including the rush to clean up debris left over by Helene. Many front yards and sidewalks on the barrier islands in Sarasota, Manatee, and Pinellas counties are filled with debris right now waiting to be picked up, and many are concerned all of that debris could be picked up and become flying hazards.
Those people just stopped by and they said, you know, we'll take it away of course, for a fee, but then everybody else has got theirs out here, you know. City was going to take it, but they can't now with this storm coming.
The governor has ordered cleanup crews to work 24 hours a day to clean up as much debris as possible. State officials admit there likely won't be enough time to get all of it.
And there's been a lot of talk about this. Officials at FEMA say they have enough funds to get through Hurricane Milton and continue the recovery efforts from Helene.
Obviously, big disasters like this create longer-term needs and across the federal family. We'll work on those at a later point. But for Helene and for Milton, we have the resources we need. We're executing against that.
The agency has been pushing back against several false claims in recent days, including the rumor that survivors of Helene are only getting $750 from the agency. The director of FEMA says that is just for immediate needs like food and shelter, and more money is available.
With Hurricane Milton threatening to bring historic storm surge to the Gulf Coast, one man at Cape Coral is doing his part to help his neighbors in need. Ronald Selway is hauling in truckloads of sand after learning the city will not provide sandbags. Selway says after rebuilding his home after Irma, it's the least he can do.
I've been here my whole life since the 80s, and I said let's help what we can and do what we can. You know, it's a good feeling that there's people, you know, going to benefit from this.
Selway spread the word about the sand through Facebook. So far, he says hundreds have stopped by to stock up and just try to say thank you. And, you know, those are those moments that make such a big difference when, you know, Good Samaritans step in and try to help out their neighbors.
And we were just talking about how much work there is preparing for a storm. I was telling you how I had to take all the stuff off the deck, everything, the planters from out of the driveway. It is a lot of work. So it's nice when you see neighbors helping neighbors.
That's right. Especially, and that's hard work too. Maybe if you need help lifting something, you know, don't be afraid to ask for help, Candace.
Oh, that's absolutely true. And it's also looking around for your neighbors and family members as well. Also, don't forget to get the kids involved as well. Something I did with my girls, and it's a tradition. They actually look forward to it, is making up their safe room. They get their favorite blankets, their favorite little pillows, their iPads, obviously, and just kind of making it a zone. So that way, when my parents, who will be watching our kids later on this week, where we're going to continue to be able to take them into that safe room in case of a tornado warning, or unfortunately if something worse happens. So just making sure you get the kids involved, have them pack their favorite snacks or their favorite entertainment. It makes them feel like they're helping in the preparations too. So don't forget the kids as well, and the pets. All right, let's talk about what's going on right now when it comes to Hurricane Milton. Sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. That pressure continuing to slowly rise, which that is the reason why it's starting to weaken just a bit. Pressure now about 924. Now, for the next 12 to 24 hours, it's going to be kind of a back and forth. It's weakening a little bit. It's going to strengthen again for a little bit and then weaken again. So this is what the forecast cone looks like as of the 5 a.m. advisory. Again, right now it's a Category 4. Model still holding on to strengthening for a short period of time back to a Cat 5 once it kind of starts to exit the Yucatan Peninsula. And then it's going to start running into a little bit of wind shear, a little bit of dry air, and that could help it go from a Cat 5 down to a Cat 3. At the end of the day, we are still talking about a major hurricane approaching the Gulf Coast of Florida by 2 a.m. on Thursday. So the timeline looks like this. Speaking of preps, get them done. The warnings have been issued. We'll continue to get those updates through the day. And then come Wednesday, the winds are going to start picking up. The rain's going to start picking up with the kind of critical zone happening overnight Wednesday and into Thursday. So let me show you here the clouds and rain forecast, bringing with it pockets of some heavy rain by about 5 a.m. on Wednesday. So timing-wise, I'd say preparations done by sundown, making sure you're in place where you need to be by about lunchtime on Wednesday. You can see because by 2 o'clock, this is where that surge of those really heavy downpours, the squall lines, the tornado threat, all of that will continue to sweep through central Florida between 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday. And then as the bulk of the moisture starts to shift north a little bit, that's when we will start talking about more of that wind concern across central Florida. Hurricane conditions are expected again late Wednesday and into Thursday. Speaking of hurricane conditions, breaking down watches and warnings, meteorologist Michelle Morgan is standing by.
Thanks so much, Candace. Yeah, so a majority of our area under a hurricane warning, meaning that hurricane conditions are likely for the highlighted counties. So we're looking at Seminole, Orange, all the way down to Osceola and Polk counties, and Sumter, and also Lake County and Marion County, where we're expecting hurricane conditions as early as Wednesday afternoon. Also, there is a storm watch in effect for a few of our coastal spots, stretching from Flagler County all the way down to Brevard County, where we could see storm surge up to 6 feet. And talking about storm surge here, this is the worst case scenario highlighted in yellow. So when the storm makes its way in, we're going to have those winds push from the east, pushing up that water along our east coast here. We are looking at devastating and damaging storm surge along the west coast, and a National Hurricane Center may adjust those numbers as the system gets closer and closer to the state. So here's a look at your hour-by-hour forecast for today.
Your weather forecast is sponsored by Fairwinds.
We're looking at temperatures steady in the 70s as we go through majority of your day, staying cloudy with showers around and a few embedded thunderstorms. As we head into the afternoon hours, we're going to see our temperatures climb into the lower 80s with rain chances continuing to go up. The weather's not going to be awful to get those last-minute preps in. Now, I do want to show you the wind gusts. We're going to see tropical storm force winds move into the area as we head into our Wednesday morning. Look at the winds here across central Florida, especially along the west coast, between 40 to even 60 miles per hour. As that system moves inland, we're continuing to see strong wind gusts now between 50 to even 70, 80 plus miles per hour. And some spots might even see 100 plus miles per hour as the center of the system goes through central Florida. Florida. As we head into your Thursday night, conditions continuing to deteriorate and still remaining pretty windy across the state. And then as the system exits the area, still dealing with gusty conditions through early Friday morning. So keep in mind, we are looking at some strong winds, some heavy rain across central Florida. So again, we make sure you are hunkering down and putting what you need to put in place. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast, getting you results. 85 today, 50% chance for rain. Tropical impacts tomorrow, or begin tomorrow, 79, and then tropical impacts continuing through Thursday with a high of 83.
Michelle, that graphic was great, visualizing that wind.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, our live team coverage of Hurricane Milton continues as cities across the state brace for the worst.
That's right. Coming up, what the city of Orlando is doing to help prevent fires sparked by flooding of electric vehicles.
No matter what's happening where you live, trust Sky 6 to get you the bigger picture. Exclusively sponsored by attorney Dan Newland.
Having a pinpoint accurate forecast is so vital. We use the most advanced tools to examine those changing forecasts. Our powerful pinpoint Doppler radar constantly sends us updated data that we analyze. We take all that and turn it into information that you can trust, drilling down to your neighborhood minute by minute. So while the weather is unpredictable, we're not. That's why News 6 can say pinpoint accurate.
Officials in Orlando are taking steps to help people ahead of the storm. The city is opening up parking garages for anyone looking to get their car out of the path of potential flooding. And that could be especially important for electric vehicles. Pinellas County put out this video after Helene, showing an electric car going up in flames in floodwaters, something many owners didn't realize could happen.
It was not a concern that I was really thinking about. And then I think we've all seen the stories and the videos of it, and now it's kind of a little worrisome.
And so the garages are all downtown. Anyone who does use them will have to have their cars removed by noon on Friday. Millions of Floridians under evacuation orders right now.
That's right. Still to come, how people already hit hard by Helene are now preparing for another major storm.
Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results.
Hurricane Milton staying on track to hit Florida as a major storm. We've got the overnight update on when the worst will move in. Plus,
the window is closing on us, and we really need to be prepared.
Time running out to get ready for the storm. Evacuations ordered this morning on both of Florida's coasts. Glad you can be with us. It's 5:30. I'm Bridget Ellison.
And I'm Lewis Bolden. Our special extended coverage of Hurricane Milton starts with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. And Candace, overnight we saw this storm grow and slow down.
That's right. Yeah, it even dropped pressure below 900 millibars, making it the fifth, when it comes to intensity, the fifth strongest hurricane on record, actually following Wilma in 2005. That was the last time we saw a system this intense. Now, it's working through a little bit of structural issues right now. It's basically called an eye wall replacement. What ends up happening is the system is spinning so fast that sometimes the eye wall kind of falls and kind of crumbles within itself. But it just takes a little bit of time for it to reorganize. So that's why it's gone down to a Cat 4 for a little bit. Right now, sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. It's crazy that I just said it went down to about Category 5 when we're still talking about 155 miles per hour. Unfortunately, though, it does look like it will re-intensify into a Category 5 storm with winds back up to about 160. After that, though, it's going to be a gradual weakening trend. It's going to be factoring in some wind shear, a little bit of dry air. But regardless of what it does within the next 12 to 24 hours, the threat still looks like it will be a major hurricane approaching the coast, the west coast of Florida, somewhere just south of Tampa, possibly near Bradenton, but as far south as Cape Coral. Once again, that forecast cone is still as wide as it is because of that confidence still hovering at the possibility of that center or the eye of the storm approaching central Florida. This is what the model tracks look like very much now in unison, that we are talking about an I-4 crossover through the heart of central Florida late Wednesday night and into early Thursday morning. Talking more about those threats, meteorologist Michelle Morgan standing by with more on that.
Thanks so much, Candace. Yeah, for today, when we're looking at the severe weather threat, a few spots under a marginal threat. We're see a few strong thunderstorms ahead of Milton. But as we head into tomorrow, look at this, majority of the area highlighted under either a marginal or a slight risk, with the yellows really blanketing across portions of the metro area, stretching into parts of Volusia County as well as Brevard County. Don't focus on the colors. Many of us will see, again, strong thunderstorms. It's possible, a lot of spinning in the atmosphere, and we could see a few weak tornadoes as that system pulls through. Now, impacts. We're high when we're looking at winds, rain, and the flooding threat, tornado threat, medium, as well as the surge. And of course, we'll go over this more in detail coming up in a bit.
All right, thank you, Michelle. This morning, millions of Floridians are under mandatory evacuation orders as Hurricane Milton creeps closer to the state.
If it stays on its current track, this will be the worst storm to hit the Tampa area in more than a century. Many have been heeding the warnings to get out. Here's a live look at I-75 and the Turnpike. Running smoothly now, but we have seen a steady stream of traffic all night long.
And it's the wind and storm surge that are causing the big concern. Forecasters are warning some areas could see a 15-foot surge of seawater in an area that's already been hit so hard by Hurricane Helene.
The last storm, we went 2.5 feet under in the house. I already lost almost 2 cars, so hoping that, because with all the stuff on the street, it's going to fly around, probably knock a couple of these buildings, and I'm good. I don't want to be a part of that.
And take a look at this. Hundreds of beds now set up at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. And the governor says this 10,000 person base camp will support operations and first responders. People in parts of Central Florida are also being ordered out ahead of the storm.
Marion and Volusia counties both announcing mandatory evacuation orders for some residents. News 6's Ezzy Castro is live in Volusia County this morning. And Ezzy, when does this take effect?
Well, that evacuation order is going to take effect tomorrow morning starting at 8 a.m. Now, this is information for Volusia County residents living on the east side areas of the intracoastal waterway, people living in manufactured homes or in mobile homes, or if you live in a low-lying area prone to flooding. Officials also want people staying at campsites and RV parks to evacuate as well, saying that preparations for Hurricane Milton need to be taken seriously.
If you live in low-lying areas or along the St. Johns River, you're at an increased chance to experience flooding from this event. So take the threat of this very, very seriously. Take the opportunity to protect your property, but above all, we want you to protect your lives.
Multiple emergency shelters will be opening tomorrow morning starting at 9 a.m. One of those shelters will be at Mainland High School here in Daytona Beach, and that is pet friendly. Now, meantime, officials say that sandbag locations will also be opening this morning starting at 8 a.m. and that will stay open until 5 o'clock today. But keep in mind that this will likely be the last day for residents to pick up sandbags. So, of course, we have all that information on clickorlando.com. For now, live in Daytona Beach, Ezzy Castro, going to Results News 6.
Those mandatory evacuations, important information, Ezzy, thank you. Meantime, a mandatory evacuation order begins tonight at 6 for people in parts of Marion County. It includes people in mobile homes and RVs, along with any structure people don't feel safe staying in. The county is warning if you do stay, rescue crews won't be able to get to you until after the storm passes.
In just hours, storm shelters are opening to the public in Lake County.
All schools in the district are closed, and now with gymnasiums being made to accommodate hundreds of evacuees. News 6's Emily McLeod is live at the Emergency Operations Center. And Emily, it seems like they're hoping a lot of people take advantage of these shelters.
Yeah, absolutely, especially people in the Astor area. Of those 15 shelters, 9 of them are going to be pet friendly, and 5 of them will be able to accommodate people with special needs. And those shelters, they're going to begin opening up today at noon. So like I mentioned before, we were in Astor yesterday, and that area is already seeing some flooding, likely due to Helene and the rain we saw over the last couple of days. Now, in some places, The water, we were walking around, it was pretty much up to my shin. Every person we spoke to was already planning for their street to flood. Some are lucky and their houses have a little bit higher elevation. But Lake County officials are especially warning people who live in Astor, if they're concerned about flooding, they should find somewhere else to stay.
Expecting a lot more rain, and we are expecting the river to rise post-hurricane. So it will be important that our Astor citizens take heed of that. They've all been through these storms. They know how those floodwaters can come up quickly. So make sure that you're prepared. If you live in that Astor area, if you need to move out now or take another place to stay, please do so.
In last night's Facebook briefing, which is what you saw there just now, Lake County officials suggested people also get their homes ready if they plan on evacuating to a shelter. Now, we have a full list of the shelters that will be opening up later today. We'll go ahead and pull that up. Again, 9 of those shelters will be pet friendly and 5 will be special needs. So what the county means when they say special needs is if you are dependent on electricity, maybe for a CPAP machine or your medication needs to be refrigerated, or if you need daily assistance with daily living activities. Now, the county says Lake Express, the county's fixed route bus system, will be offering free rides to shuttles beginning tomorrow, to shelters beginning tomorrow. But in order to get that free ride, you have to tell a driver that you're going to a shelter. For now, reporting live in Tavares, I'm Emily McLeod, getting Results News 6.
Emily, thank you. You may be seeing long lines at some gas stations, but the governor says fuel is still flowing from the ports.
State of Florida is amassing significant amount of fuel reserves ahead of Milton, and we're staging it to be utilized as needed. I know people are going to fill up their gas tanks, which is a good thing. There's more lines than maybe that we're used to on some of these, but there has not been an interruption in fuel deliveries, and all the ports are checked in on that.
And for anyone looking to fill up their car or gas can at the last minute, Racetrack does have an online fuel tracker on its website, and you can use the drop-down menu to show availability in your city. Results are updated every half hour or so. And Candace, tools like that really can help you so that you're not wasting more gas sort of looking around.
Right, exactly. I do want to kind of talk real quick about where Emily McLeod is actually when it comes to those Astor levels. Right now, it's still in a moderate flood stage, which is what she mentioned. Expected to go pretty much teeter just below major as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, even stretching as far into the weekend. The only problem is not only are we talking about water levels rising because of the additional rain, as Milton pushes away from Central Florida, it's going to start bringing the winds back in towards the coastline over areas, let's say, of Jacksonville. And that's going to push a lot of the moisture along the St. Johns River back into areas like Astor. So unfortunately, that zone is going to get rain from the south and then later from the north, which is why we're really concerned about that zone, seeing possibly those major flood stage threat as we head into the weekend. So that's something that we're going to continue to closely monitor. But no matter where you are in Central Florida, the threat is there, and it's good to see that there is a lot of people taking this threat seriously. It is a powerful storm. It's still a Category 4 hurricane at this point in time. Sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. With the strength that's going to fluctuate a little bit, and we'll bring you the very latest. But at the end of the day, the threat is the same. We're still talking about a major hurricane approaching just south of Tampa, potentially riding right through the I-4 corridor late Wednesday night, overnight into early Thursday morning. Our wind gusts, we're talking a possibility of seeing winds exceed 100 miles per hour, kind of in this red threshold. That's really where that critical core of Milton will be. And comparing it to other storms, that is what we do as humans, is try to compare to kind of bring some similarities. Charlie, the strongest wind gust we reported at MCO was 105 miles per hour. There will be that potential of seeing conditions even stronger than that when it comes to comparing it to Hurricane Charlie. We'll be pinpointing it more county by county, showing you that threshold and the timing of it coming up in just a few minutes.
That really puts it in perspective, Candace. Thank you. Our special coverage continues ahead with the final storm preparations in Orange County.
After seeing the destruction from Hurricane Charlie 20 years ago, News 6's Mark Lehman found out where first responders will go door to door before the storm hits.
Trooper Steve on Patrol is sponsored by Gibson Truck World. We are the king of trucks. It's hurricane season, and the Pinpoint Weather Team is here for you. Because when the tropics heat up, we stay focused. No hype, no noise. Just a calm, consistent, accurate weather team tracking the hurricane's path with pinpoint Doppler radar. And 3D views bring us inside the storm to help keep you and your family safe. This hurricane season, stay prepared with the News 6 Pinpoint Weather Team and the Hurricane Tracker app. News 6, getting results. Sponsored by AK Certified Roofing.
Orlando is close to 100 miles from the Gulf, but as we've learned from previous storms, the wind and rain can pack a serious punch here as well.
That's right, and this morning emergency officials are getting ready for any scenario. News 6's Mark Lehman is live in East Orange County, where firefighters are taking some proactive steps in some mobile home parks. Mark, what are they doing this morning?
Well, hurricane force winds can be especially damaging to manufactured type homes, and to prepare people for these types of impacts, Orange County Fire Rescue is going door to door this morning, beginning here at the Fairway Country Club. Now, it's an outreach effort to provide critical safety information as the county is working to prepare people choosing to ride out the storm. On top of the preps happening, those who live in mobile homes, now there are concerns for several communities across Orange County. Hurricane force winds are expected along with 3 to 6 inches of rain, and some areas could see up to 12 inches. Now, that has a lot of people worried in the Orlo Vista neighborhood. That's an area that saw widespread flooding from Hurricane Ian in 2022. Since then, crews have been working on a flood mitigation project, which is nearly finished. As the county is keeping an eye on that area, Mayor Jerry Deming says Hurricane Milton will be a big test for public works across Orange County because of the strong winds and heavy rain.
There's no question we are going to have power outages, and they will be significant. We will have trees down. We will have some damage because of the sustained winds that we will experience as a community.
In another step to get ahead of potential flooding, Deming says crews will also be lowering lake levels in some areas. The hope is that the efforts will prevent those lakes from overflowing if we see extended periods of rain. And out here at Fairways Country Club, firefighters will be going door to door starting at 9 this morning. We will be talking with them about their recommendations for residents who live here, and talking with these residents as well, and asking them what they are doing in this final day to prepare for the storm. For now, reporting live in Orange County, Mark Lehman, getting results, News 6.
Thank you, Mark. And hundreds of flights in and out of Florida are going to be put on hold as the storm passes.
Orlando International Airport is shutting down tomorrow morning. Officials say starting at 8 a.m., commercial operations will come to a ground stop. They did not say when they plan to reopen, only that it's going to depend on the hurricane's path and impacts. And who better to tell us more about the path and impacts than these two right here?
Yeah, we've been watching everything very closely, and this is a monster storm, for sure, very strong.
Yeah, breaking records, very much so. But at the end of the day, the strengthening is going to fluctuate a little bit. A lot of our models, though, did show it getting down to about 900. Some of them didn't quite clock it just below that 900 millibar mark there, but all of the models are really starting to come into unison consensus that it will weaken a little bit upon its approach towards Central Florida. So that's certainly some good news. All right, let's talk about what we know so far right now. Sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. The pressure has increased. So when you see that those pressure numbers go down, that means it's starting to strengthen a bit. So right now we have sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. Hurricane Milton, my microphone is popping. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm not sure. Here, I'm just not going to move. I'm not going to move. Hurricane Milton right now, you can see sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. It's going to continue to weaken as it approaches the Gulf Coast of Central Florida by very early 2 a.m. So we're still talking about the worst of the weather here in Central Florida, once again being throughout the overnight hours. That in itself adds an extra layer of concern because a lot of people tend to let their guards down as they go to sleep. So making sure that you have ways of being alerted and woken up. So that means NOAA radios. That means turning on the television. That might mean watching it and streaming things on your cell phones or your iPads, making sure you have ways of being notified. So this is the storm timeline. Today, your completions need to be done. I would say by sundown tonight, everything needs to be where it needs to be. Warnings will continue to be issued if there are evacuation routes or evacuation orders in your area, this is the time today to get them done. As we head into your Wednesday, the weather will worsen. The winds will start to pick up. And then as we head into your Thursday, especially early Thursday morning, we're really talking about those critical conditions. Let's first look here at the clouds and rain forecast. We're going to continue to watch. Oh, I just jumped right over it. The clouds and rain forecast will be showing the bulk of the moisture coming in as we head into Wednesday morning by 5 a.m. That first kind of batch of those scattered showers will start to arrive. We're really talking about some of the heaviest rain as early as about 2 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. These squall lines will pack a punch. Tornadic activity, some of these supercells could easily spin up a storm, spin up a tornado under some of these stronger storms, with the wind concern really coming in late Wednesday night and into early Thursday morning. Speaking of some of those impacts, let's bring in meteorologist Michelle Morgan.
Yeah, so we're looking at the storm surge watch here along our coast, the East Coast here, where some spots could get between 3 to 6 feet. Keep in mind, even though this storm is going to make landfall as a major Category 3 hurricane, that's just for the winds, that intensity. We're looking at the storm surge at a Cat 5 magnitude, so devastating, damaging storm surge along the West Coast from areas Tampa all the way down to Naples. So when we're talking about storm surge here, this is the worst case scenario, as I mentioned, up to 6 feet along Flagler, Volusia, stretching all the way down to Brevard County. So if you live along our coastal areas, you want to make sure you have those sandbags in place, prepare for some flooding, and also obviously along the West Coast can get up to 12 feet. I do think that the National Hurricane Center will adjust these numbers as that system gets closer and closer to our area. Rainfall forecast here, we're looking at up to 6 inches for areas highlighted in red, up to 8 inches for areas highlighted in purple, and then up to 4 inches highlighted in orange. So find where you live, and that is the estimated rainfall forecast for you. Expected wind gust here. Many of us will see hurricane force wind gusts, especially spots that are highlighted in red and especially in that purple there. Now, again, we're looking at those strong winds to begin tomorrow, but for today, here's a look at your hour-by-hour forecast for Orlando.
Your forecast is sponsored by Publix.
The weather not awful. A few gusts around, some showers, some embedded thunderstorms. So if you need to get your last-minute preps in, today is the day. Temperatures will be in the 80s, where rain chance is going up. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast here, getting your results. We're looking at 85 today with a 50% chance for showers, a few storms. 79 tomorrow, 100% tropical impacts beginning Wednesday afternoon, lasting into Thursday afternoon. But look at your weekend. We're actually looking at a fall-like weekend ahead.
All right, Michelle, thank you. And still ahead, another transportation disruption. Updates on Sunrail and Brightline service just ahead.
Trooper Steve on Patrol is sponsored by Gibson Truck World. We are the king of trucks. Get the latest news, weather, and more from the News 6 Plus streaming app. Download the News 6 Plus app from the Android TV App Store today.
Welcome back. We talked earlier about Orlando International Airport closing on Wednesday. Here's another transportation ground stop. Sunrail and Brightline are both suspending service today to prepare the railways for the storm. The trains will also be shut down Wednesday.
The latest updates on the storm and local impacts are straight ahead.
We'll be back in just a moment.
When every minute matters, News 6 is getting you all the facts and every detail that matters to you. For breaking news turned to News 6.